Welcome to One Girl in All the World, a Buffy the Vampire Slayer rewatch podcast where we recap each episode in order and discuss. I'm Ashley, Buffy superfan.
Kimmy, Buffy newbie.
You can find us on all major podcast apps, YouTube, and Instagram with new episodes on Tuesdays. Okay, so we are getting near the end, folks. 4 episodes left. It's very exciting. And 2 are the finale. So we only have, after this, we have 1 normal episode left, and then not craziness ensues. I'm very excited.
Ensues.
Yes, but before we get there, today we were talking about I Only Have Eyes for You, which is season 2, episode 19. And we got to watch this one together, which is always fun when that happens.
Doesn't happen often, but yeah.
Yeah, we either get to watch or record together. That's fun.
Yeah.
It never happens both, but maybe at one point.
That's true. Maybe.
If we have another, half a day Kimmy Ham, we could watch and record. I don't know. But
we could do that, yeah.
We have to, figure it out for a really good episode.
After the holidays.
Oh, boy. Yeah.
All of the holidays.
Yeah, all of them. Okay, yeah, so today we're going to talk about I Only Have Eyes for You, which we were able to watch together, which is fun. The original air date was April 28th, 1998, written by Marty Noxon, who I'm a fan of, and directed by James Whitmore Jr. And the synopsis is, Buffy encounters a tortured spirit haunting the halls of Sunnydale High and recruits her friends to help the bitter spirit in its quest for peace. Meanwhile, Giles is filled with anguish when he believes the spiritual being is Jenny, trapped in trying to impart a final message to him from the beyond. So Buffy definitely does not recruit her friends to help him find the ghost find peace. But she just wants people to stop dying, basically.
Yeah.
So a couple interesting things that I found out about this episode, right off the top, is that obviously that song, I Only Have Eyes for You, came out in 1959, and this episode is set in 1955.
Oh, that's funny. Somebody goofed. Nice.
Yeah, so the song, when this was taking place, and then, we see James and Grace, dancing to this song, and it comes on several times throughout the episode.
It's not even written yet.
It hadn't even, it wasn't even out, so.
How did somebody not catch that? That's funny.
I don't know. And because this episode does have a suicide trigger warning, before on the original air date, that Sarah Michelle Gellar recorded a PSA for suicide, suicide hotline and all that. So that played right before this episode aired.
Okay.
So we started out in the Bronze. The band playing is called Splendid. That's who that is.
I like that band.
And I believe that song was on the Buffy soundtrack because I remember listening to it constantly.
Mm-hmm.
And so that, I think it was on there. Or maybe it's just from watching this episode all the time, but I think it was on the Buffy soundtrack.
Okay.
Cordelia and Xander are dancing. Willow's just kind of hanging out by herself. Where's Oz?
Yeah, I don't know. We haven't seen him for a while, right? Since the werewolf episode, I feel like.
You know what? Typical guy. He says he's in love and then he disappears.
Yeah, and then I feel like even there was an episode where Willow and Cordelia were boys or whatever. Or somebody in Willow was boys. Mm-hmm, and I was just I remember thinking at the time, is something going on with Oz? But then, I don't know. And now we just haven't heard about him. Anyway.
Yeah, the last time we saw them, they were in love, apparently. And we haven't seen them.
How in love could you be if you just never see each other? Anyway.
Yeah, whatever. Not cool with it.
And Buffy's just, B, this is what I nickname her in my notes.
Hey, that somebody makes that her nickname.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, I was like, oh. Yeah, she will get called B a lot.
She's just looking around despondent. She looks like...
Yeah, she's up in the catwalk.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Yeah, and she gets approached by a fellow student that we don't know, that they had math class together.
Algebra.
Yeah, Ben.
With some lame flirting, I will say.
Yeah, it was kind of cute, though. Because he's like, hey, just so you know, I thought maybe you could ask me to Sadie Hawkins. Because obviously he wants to ask her out, but Sadie Hawkins is where the girls ask the guys.
Also, who got that right?
You did?
That's right.
Very good, yes. I have been to a Sadie Hawkins dance in high school.
Oh, really? That's so cute. Wait, so did you ask a boy to go with you?
Yes, a friend.
Aww.
The same friend. A guy friend.
Okay, I know who you're talking about already.
It wasn't. It was the one that gave me the Orb of Thessala.
The best friend, right?
different, also a best friend during high school, but not the one I still like kind of keep in contact with.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the Orb of Thessala, John, the one that was like the big Buffy fan.
Okay.
So we went to Sadie Hawkins together, and it was very cute.
Okay.
Yeah. So Buffy's definitely not interested in asking anybody. So Ben's kind of putting himself out there that she could always ask him.
Brave soul.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and he pays dearly for his mistake of putting himself out there, because Buffy realizes that essentially he's asking her out, and she's like,
no, I'm not seeing anyone
ever
again.
Like, might as well just become a nun.
Yeah.
So he's like, oh, sorry about that's the case. And she kind of feels really bad. They just kind of like awkwardly end the conversation. And Buffy's just like, okay, like, I'm done with this day, or like hanging out here. So she goes to leave. Willow intercepts her and like says, oh, I saw that that didn't go well. And she's like, I'm just not in date mode. And Willow says, maybe you need to get into date mode. To get into date mode.
Get into date mode.
And Buffy's like, do you remember my like past year? Not even the last couple of months. Like, no. You have to be like impulsive.
Well, she's like, Willow's telling her, you're all work and no play, Buffy.
Mm-hmm. And Buffy's like, yeah, look at the decisions I've made. Like, I can't just go out, throw caution to the wind.
Yeah.
So Buffy says she's going to swing by the library and see if Giles has anything, for her to like be aware of, or that she needs to know for patrol. Because she's just going to decide. She's just patrolling and going home. So we're at school in the hallway. And we see, we kind of have an interesting cut here, because Willow says, Love's not always like, what happened with you, Dean.
Right? Yeah, love can be nice.
Love can be nice. And then we cut to the hallway where two students are fighting with each other.
Like, very heated argument.
Tensely, yes.
Yeah.
And from what they're saying, we can tell that she's trying to end things with him, and he is not having it. He's having a hard time accepting that.
Yeah, and he's, like, yelling at her, and he grabs her arm, like...
Yeah. And it escalates to the point where he pulls a gun on her.
Yep. He says, tell me you don't love me anymore. And then he points the gun at her and says, love is forever. That's not creepy at all.
And then we go to the credits, so we're like, oh no, is he going to kill her? But thankfully, we know Buffy's heading to the school, so Buffy tackles him just in time. And there's also a janitor that was there and rushes over to see what was happening.
Yeah.
And Buffy says, you OJ on your girlfriend, which is OJ Simpson. Yeah. Public opinion did not find him innocent. Obviously, we still, that whole trial. Well, yeah, I guess if we have to explain the reference, we have to explain it. That O.J. Simpson was a football player that was on trial for killing his
girlfriend, and her wife, and her
lover. Yeah, and he was found not guilty, but it is perceived to be a miscarriage of justice.
Yeah,
and that is what Buffy is referring to.
And then, the guy seems really confused, and the gun disappears, and it's just kind of weird.
She's like, we weren't even fighting. And, like, the girl is like, yeah, we weren't. And she's like, if you weren't fighting, why'd you have a gun? And there is no gun. The gun has disappeared.
So weird.
In Snyder's office, so we're back with Snyder. Snyder brings Buffy in to blame her for the couple fighting in this, like, mysterious situation. So he's like, it's got to be you. You're involved, so you caused it. Even though Buffy's like, I saved them, you know? He's like, no, you definitely had something to do with it. If she's there, she's the culprit for sure.
Stuff happens. Yep.
Yeah.
Stuff always happens with her around.
Yeah. So she's in trouble for it. And he's about to keep going when he gets a phone call from his receptionist or whatever, saying that Billy Crandall has chained himself to the vending machine again. And then Principal Snyder says, pathetic little no-life vegan.
Oh, I forgot about that. You're right.
Yes.
I didn't write it down, so I forgot.
Here at this podcast, we support and stand behind Billy Crandall.
Veganism? Yes.
Chaining himself to the vending machine. So,
a vegan activist.
He's a vegan activist, so we support Billy Crandall. Go, Billy. Yes. We support you. So yeah, Snyder
when
leaves.
He leaves, the yearbook falls out. And it's just interesting that it's a 1955 yearbook. And Buffy kind of looks at it, but she's like, meh, and then just puts it back.
Yeah, just thought it fell off the shelf, puts it on. But we see it slowly, like, come off.
Yeah, it seems
off, like,
obvious to me, but...
Yeah. I mean, she didn't see it. We were supposed to be like, oh, okay, this is supernatural something. She just thinks something fell.
On purpose.
Yeah. In Jenny's classroom, Willow is giving, still teaching the class.
She's teaching, and she's killing it.
Yeah, she's loving it.
She's in her element. She's making jokes. She's getting laughs. It's so great. I love
She's
this
a minor working for free. Okay. Great, Snyder.
I'll just tell Willow, like, welcome to your future. I mean, not working for free, but basically always making, like, less than what you probably should be for whatever you're doing.
Yeah. So Giles comes in to see if she needed any, like, help because she is teaching a class by herself. And she says no, she got it all. She's been looking at
Jenny's computer
and saying that, you know, they had a lot of, like, paganism and magic sites, and so she's really getting interested in those.
Into that.
And she also found a rose quartz in Jenny's desk. So she's like, I think Jenny would want you to have it. And she gives it to Giles.
Healing powers.
It's healing powers, yeah. So Giles is touched by that. Yeah. That she gave it to him.
Is this, I wrote history and then crossed out and put economics. What class is this?
I think it's history. He's talking about the New Deal. Okay. I mean, I would say it was history. I put history. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So Buffy's sitting in history class. They're talking about the New Deal. And Buffy nods off. And she kind of has she's like, it's kind of like a lucid dream. She's there watching something happen in 1955. And we see that the Sadie Hawkins DS is coming up because two girls are, like, holding the poster. The poster, yeah. And class is dismissed. Everybody's handing in an assignment. And then one boy in the class gives the teacher, is, like, the last student, and gives the teacher his assignment. And they kind of talk for a little bit. She's saying, how do you like the Hemingway I lended you? And
they brush hands. And it's kind of like...
She's saying that, oh, yeah, he falls in love with his whatever. So we're talking about a farewell to arms. Have you read it?
No.
I haven't either, but I should.
Okay, I'm not the hugest Hemingway fan, to be honest.
Yeah, I don't even know if I've read it.
That's the same author that did The Old Man and the Sea, right?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, Old Man and the Sea is, like, probably the worst book I've ever read, so I just can never try anything else.
Right. Yeah. I think the worst book I ever read was Moby Dick.
I couldn't get past the first quarter of that book, so I can't count.
I don't even know if I finished it, but it was like it was like a school assignment too, like in college. School, oh god. And I like for me to like, I just, like for me to not finish something for school, it had to be bad. So yeah, so she lended him A Farewell to Arms, which is something like there's like a very big age difference in that book, so that makes sense. Oh. And they brush hands, and they kind of like lean a little bit.
Yeah, it's very suspect.
There's some leaning closer to each other. And then another student comes in and they break apart. And then Buffy kind of wakes up.
And then as she wakes up, though, like the teacher's writing on the blackboard and all the students start laughing. And he'd written a swear word on there. And he was like, what the hell?
He writes, don't walk away from me, bitch.
Yep. And he didn't mean to write that.
Yeah. And he looks and he like quickly brushes it off. Now, had we heard that line said yet? In the hallway?
I think maybe we did actually. I think we might have.
Yeah, we would have to because otherwise it would have just been.
Yeah, when
So the first couple,
I think so.
The students, yeah. He says, "Don't walk away from me, bitch." So weird that the teacher is writing the same thing.
Oh, so that's pretty harsh language for 1955. I'm just gonna say.
Yeah, very, very emotional. In the hallway, Buffy's talking to Xander, and obviously she thinks something's up. I mean, yeah. There's enough evidence here.
Just like something weird is going on, and I think Willow says, "Isn't that our school motto?"
Oh, Xander says that, yeah.
I think Willow says it, but then Xander says something about chalkboard Tourette's.
Oh well, I think that in the hallway they go into the library and then Willow's there.
Okay, maybe it was Xander then. Okay.
But so Xander opens his locker, and a arm it kind of looks like the creature from the Black Lagoon, kind of like scaly, kind of like monster.
Yep.
Reptile-y kind of hand
tries
comes
to
out.
Pull him in.
Yeah, grabs him, pulls him towards the locker, and they kind of struggle. And then she gets Xander off. She closes it quickly and slowly opens it, and it's empty. There's nothing there.
So weird.
Yeah. So in the library, Buffy and Xander catch up Willow and Giles, who are in there, and it's funny because Xander makes another movie reference where he says that he's dead as hell and they're not going to take it anymore, which is from Network. Have you ever heard that? I'm mad as hell and I'm not going to take it anymore?
I've definitely heard it before. What movie is that? Network? Yeah. I don't think I've heard that.
Network in 1975. I've seen it. It's basically people yelling out a window like, I'm mad as hell and I'm not going to take it anymore.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, anyway, it's a classic movie. So yeah, that's what he's referring to when he says he's dead as hell and he's not going to take it anymore. So, and I like when Xander says, I got attacked by a locker monster, and Giles is like, Loch Ness monster?
Oh, yeah. That was
ooh, no locker monster. But he's still like, oh, okay, poltergeist activity?
Yeah,
like
he thought that was really interesting.
Yeah, it's not kind of playful or innocent, it seems. So it seems like poltergeist activity.
Yeah.
And he's saying that poltergeist activity usually revolves around unresolved issues.
Right, and they say that they can lash out, they can be confused.
Yeah, so basically the classic unfinished business.
And Buffy's like, oh, like a normal teenager, only dead.
Yeah. Yeah, it was great. So that night at school, that janitor that we saw earlier is mopping the floors. Miss Frank?
Girl, I don't know. I don't keep track of all these teacher names. You're way better at that than me. Okay.
She's leaving, and you can tell that they like don't know each other well because she says, "Oh, your name is
whatever,
Oscar, George, right?" And he's like, yeah, no problem. Like she was gonna walk through where he was mopping. Is that okay? Yeah. They obviously bye, have a good night, and like obviously they have this like just in passing relationship. They don't know each other well. She didn't even know if his name was actually George, and then all of a sudden something sweeps over him.
And they start having this weird-ass dialogue.
Yeah, and it immediately she falls into it as well.
Yeah, and it's the same dialogue as last night.
Yeah, we get a little bit more.
Yeah.
Where he says, like, it expands a bit, where he says, I can't stop thinking about you. And she's kind of like, I know, like, but it has to end. I want you to have a normal life. He says, I don't care about having a normal life.
He says a person doesn't just wake up one day and stop loving.
Yeah, so we get a little bit more. Where like that scene that we got in the beginning is expanding, so we're getting a little more of the story.
Yeah.
And yeah, the same thing plays out where he says, don't walk away from me, bitch. She like goes out into the outdoor hallway. Yeah. Right by where Harmony fell down the stairs. Yeah. In the one with the invisible girl? Yeah. Out of mind, out of sight.
Okay.
That one. Yeah, so right there is where she's standing, and he pulls out a gun and shoots her. And she flips over the balcony edge and down to the bottom on those stairs that Harmony had fallen down. And, while this is happening, while they're arguing, Giles is in the library and hears noises out there. He goes to get up, and he hears a female voice whisper, I need you.
Okay.
But then he keeps walking out because he hears the commotion, and he sees the immediate aftermath of George shooting the teacher.
I thought he just overheard them arguing, so he actually heard, and he thinks whatever he heard was Jenny, but I just thought all he heard was them arguing.
It said like there is a whisper says I need you.
Oh, I missed that. Okay.
Yeah, and then so Giles sees the janitor shoot the teacher, and he tackles him. Mm-hmm. He tackles him.
Confused again.
Yeah, and he's like, the gun disappears, and he doesn't know what happened.
And I'm so curious, like, what happens if you shoot somebody, the weapon disappears, and you're like, I didn't do it, I don't remember.
How's that gonna look? Where's the murder weapon?
Yeah.
Prove it!
Yeah, exactly.
Prove that I did it. Yeah, so we have another kind of possession that happens at the school now. But somebody has died this time. Nobody got there in time to save the person.
Yeah.
So we go to what we call the mansion.
Oh, the mansion. I was calling it the garden. Okay.
It is a garden of the mansion, but we'll go into the mansion in the upcoming episodes. So the gang of Angel, Drusilla, and Spike had to move because Giles apparently succeeded in burning down the factory.
Yep.
So they got to move. Mm-hmm. And so they're out in the garden, and they're admiring it. Obviously, it's night. And
Drusilla's admiring it. Spike doesn't seem impressed.
No. No, he's not. He's like, oh, look at this lovely garden, these big windows. This is like an ideal place for vampires to live, obviously. Yeah. So we can all get burnt alive. So he's not having it. He's annoyed at Angel because him doing the Jenny thing, which led Giles there, and it destroyed their house, and so now they had to move, and he just...
And he's also still very frustrated with the whole Drusilla Angel
which just keeps escalating.
It seems to. I'm kind of curious to see what's going on with them.
Yeah. So, yeah, Spike hates Angel at this point. And
Angel's a dick. He's like, oh, take a stand. Roll with the punches. Come on.
He's awful.
He is. So
making fun of him constantly for being in the wheelchair. So that's coming to a boiling point.
Yep. In
the library...
So in this, then, with this one, it sounds like the janitor remembers everything, but doesn't know why.
Right. Giles does say he knows he killed the woman, but he doesn't know why.
Yeah.
Right. So, obviously everybody's been caught up that it's like the same scene played out with the teacher, but the teacher and the janitor, obviously, now a teacher is dead. And so they didn't have any intimate relationship. They, like, barely knew each other.
No. Yeah, so it's so weird.
And they think, okay, there's a spirit trying to reach out, and... He immediately thinks it's Jenny, which no one agrees. Like, nobody gets on board with that, even for a second.
And all he can really say is, like, she died under tragic circumstances. And then, like, Willow and Buffy are disagreeing. Like, there's a gun. It seems something very specific. And then Giles just like, I'm right.
Yeah. He's like, she died under tragic circumstances here. So, obviously, it's just got to be her. And they're like, I don't think so. There's, like, the script that they're following and everything. And
it seems so different. Yeah, it's very different.
Yeah, but I do like when he says, you should always, challenge authority. And I always want you to tell me if you think I'm wrong. Like, but you're absolutely wrong and I'm right this time. So, I think, like, Buffy, Willow, and Xander are like, okay, there's no talking to him about that it's not Jenny. So, we're going to have to do some independent study. And so they go into Jenny's classroom, and they're going to do their own research, hopefully not on Facebook. Don't worry, it's okay. Facebook isn't around yet. And they cross-reference past shootings, and they come across a shooting that happened the day before the Sadie Hawkins dance, which Buffy says is today. In their timeline, is the day before Sadie Hawkins.
Right.
And that it was a student killed a teacher, and that there was rumors that they were having an affair. Right?
And that she tried to break it off, and he couldn't make her love him, so he killed her.
He went to the music room and killed himself after.
That's so sad.
Yeah, and she said Sadie Hawkins is tonight. So it's the night of Sadie Hawkins, I think I said. And Willow said, Buffy's like, did this happen in 1955? And she's like, yes. So they get the... yearbook. Okay. They get the yearbook that Buffy was looking at before, and she sees the pictures of the people that she dreamt about in class. So that totally connects the dots. And Xander's a little bit like, ooh, your dreams are getting pretty specific and pretty creepy. Like, you just dreamt about these two people and something that happened.
Yeah.
And then Buffy really has no sympathy for...
She's angry.
Yeah. James is the student and Grace is the teacher. So Willow's kind of just like, oh, isn't the whole thing so tragic, basically? And Buffy's like, for her.
She's very empathetic. Yeah.
Yeah, for her, but not for him.
She doesn't...
No sympathy or empathy for James.
She can't see where he's coming from at all.
No. And Xander has another quote here. He's paraphrasing some line from The Merchant of Venice, which I'm like, we didn't know that they were talking about that in class, so... I guess Xander could know this. Otherwise, I don't think he would be into it. But yeah, so he has another little quote there. So Willow, because she has like getting into magic now, she's getting a new hobby. Mm-hmm. She wants to try and contact James to see like how they can stop this or like do his like unfinished business. So in the cafeteria, Cordelia is joining the group at the table, and she is like really doesn't like Sadie Hawkins.
She's boycotting.
Yeah,
girls have to ask and pay for everything.
Yeah, she's not down with this, and she's all like outraged by this. While the food in the cafeteria everywhere turns into snakes.
It's the creepiest scene ever. Snakes are everywhere, and Cordelia gets bitten.
Yeah, one like just flashes onto her face. You see like people are about to like take a bite of a burger or something, and now in the middle it's snakes, and it's a complete stampede. Everyone's screaming and running for the door, and Snyder's like, what? He's standing in the doorway like, what the hell's going on? Yeah, it's a complete like stampede trying to get out of there because all the people are freaking out. Outside.
This scene's very interesting.
It is.
I have questions about this.
Okay, so outside, the animal control's there. They're trying to catch the snakes. The police are there.
The superintendent's there, right?
Is it the police chief?
I thought it was the superintendent. So it's the police chief. Okay.
Yeah, I think it's police chief.
Who he's talking to? Okay.
We talked to him in the past. We saw him before.
Okay.
So Snyder and the police chief are trying to come up with a plausible lie for what happened, and he eventually comes up with a backed up sewer. Mm-hmm. He said that's what it's going to be because it's like the same thing happened in San Diego last week. Mm-hmm. So they're saying that the reason this all happened is because of backed up sewer. And Snyder tells the police chief, we're on a hellmouth, and sooner or later people are going to figure that out.
Yeah, exactly. And then like the police chief was just like, handle it. So,
handle it.
This is our second reference to Snyder being aware of them being on a hellmouth. So if he's aware of all these weird things and that Buffy's always involved, how is he still giving her a hard time? He must realize she's not doing things, that she's not responsible for these things. Like, what? Why is he giving her such a hard time?
Oh, maybe he thinks she's evil.
Oh, God, okay. Maybe.
All
right. Like, maybe she's a vampire or something?
Or, like, maybe she's just one, like...
A demon?
She's involved.
Okay.
Somehow in the bad stuff.
All right, that's fair.
In Snyder's narrative, he could be the hero. He could be Buffy, for all he thinks.
Such a weirdo.
But there's a little throwaway line, kind of, that isn't so much of a throwaway. So when he says, hey, we hired you because we thought you could handle this job. And if you can't, you could take it up with the mayor. And Snyder kind of snaps to attention and says, I'll handle it. And that's the end of the scene. So just put that in your little pocket, your little Buffyverse pocket.
Oh, interesting. Okay, so that's a hint or something. Okay. Mm-hmm. Is this a hint that's going to come full circle in the next 3 episodes, or are we waiting longer?
Longer.
Ugh, okay. I'm not going to remember that.
I'll remind you. All right, so in Buffy's room, Willow is saying that it's going to have to be an exorcism. Like, it's too violent now to, like, just kind of reach out to him and communicate with him. So they're going to do a, what is it? Oh, a Mangus tripod. So basically a triangle with somebody in the middle. So 3 of them and someone in the middle, and the middle spot is where the hot spot is. So it's that where the teacher fell over, like the balcony, basically, is where all the bad juju is.
They're going to try to bind the bad spirit to prevent it from doing any harm.
Yeah, so that should bind them. And they have to basically light these candles and say something at midnight. Say a spell or incantation.
Xander notices that the ghost is fixated on Buffy, which I think is an interesting point to make. Because, I didn't really consider that before then. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, with the dream in the yearbook. And she's like, oh, yeah, well, I'm going to be in the middle. I'm going to be where the hot spot is because obviously if there's trouble, it'll be there. And I hope he shows up. She's got a vendetta out for James.
Yep.
Yeah, so at school that night, they show up, and Willow made everyone scapulas for protection.
Out of sulfur? What does that even mean?
I was just one ingredient, but sulfur stinks, obviously. Yeah. So I think it was a shortcut, basically. She's like, sorry, I didn't have time, so I had to use sulfur. But apparently this is a mistake, because she says scapulas twice, but apparently it's scapulars.
Oh, what's a scapular?
It's the thing that you put around your neck, like, for protection.
Oh, because when she said scapula, I'm like, what? Like the knife that you use? And
oh, like a you're thinking of scalpel?
Scalpel. Oh yeah. What's a scapula? Am I thinking spatula? What are we thinking?
Yeah, well, that's what Xander says. Xander says spatula, and she's like, no. So, but it must have just the right, like, Marty just, I think, got the wrong term, because it's supposed to be scapular.
Okay, got it.
So that's what she's actually giving them.
Okay.
All right, so she gives everyone these, and Cordy says it smells like grandpa breath. But she puts it on. And then all of a sudden, the doors and all the at the end of all the halls start slamming shut.
They get shut in, yeah.
Mm-hmm. So not good. Yep. At the mansion, Drew says she wants to burrow herself into the, like, the garden and, like, bury herself there. And poor Spike's like, your dress will get dirty. Like, why am I even talking to you? You're crazy. And she starts having a kind of a vision saying that a gate is opening. Mm-hmm. Then it wants the Slayer. So she's seeing, like, basically that there's a weakness with Buffy, that it's a good time for Angel to basically strike. And tells Angel to go after Buffy.
Angel thinks the Slayer's basically run its course. And he's ready to focus his energy elsewhere. Like, he's over it at this point, it seems like.
Yeah, and his elsewhere seems to be Drew. And, like, he's, like, gonna rub it up on her, and she's like, ooh, like, and poor Spike is just sitting there in the wheelchair watching his girlfriend that he's in love with, like, totally fine with, like, being into this other person, the guy that sired her.
So weird. Like, are they?
I mean, we don't know for sure.
I know, that's the thing, but it seems like maybe. I
think it's more than just trying to get under Spike's skin.
Obviously.
If I had to say that. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think so, too.
So Spike is pissed. Even more now. Yep. Because I think this is actually the scene where he really lays it on sexually with Drew, rather than in the earlier one. So, yeah, Spike is just seething. In the hallway, they all go to their, like, little corners where they're gonna, hallway at school, where they're gonna have their little posts in their triangle. And Giles and Willow run into each other. Giles is coming out of the library. And he's trying to contact Jenny. And he says, like, Willow, you need to go home because there could be supernatural stuff happening because I think I'm close to contacting Jenny. And Willow says, okay, sure, bye. Like, let him do that. Mm-hmm. Let him play with his little pretend ghost. Yep. And she goes off to sit at her station. All right. And Cordelia is in the bathroom. One of the bathrooms. Band-Aid? Yeah, and she has, like, a Band-Aid on her face from the snake bite. The bite.
Yep.
Yeah, so this goes I'm just gonna summarize a bit because it jumps around a lot.
Back and forth so much?
Yeah. Buffy is walking the halls, and she goes past the music room, and she kind of sees a vision or something of Grace and James dancing in the music room. Mm-hmm. And when he turns, his face becomes all, like, decomposed, and, like, obviously he shot himself in the eye. Xander sets up in the cafeteria, which still has snakes in it. Obviously, they didn't get all the snake, yeah.
Snakealicious.
Yeah. Snakealicious. Very Xander. Yeah, obviously, I guess the animal control was like, you know what? It's 5. We're going to leave. So, at the end of the day, we're going to leave all these snakes here.
Whatever.
We're not going to finish.
Guys,
yeah.
You can deal with it.
Yeah. In the bathroom, Cordelia looks into the mirror trying to, like, oh God, my face, like my little bite that I got. And then her face changes, like, kind of to, like, a big, it looks like a burn scar or something.
Yeah.
I don't know what it's actually supposed to be, but obviously she screams because her face has changed. In the hallway, Willow is standing at the top of those stairs and right outside down the hall from the library, and the ground just opens up and, like, a monster arm comes out and grabs
her down,
grabs her ankle, and it's just kind of this, like, swirling kind of, like, top of a tornado looking thing.
Yeah.
And she's just getting pulled down into this, like,
or like what's
abyss.
That thing in the water called? It's like a
whirlpool.
Whirlpool.
That's a whirlpool. Yeah, that's better than an over looking down on a tornado. Like a whirlpool. Yeah. Whirlpool. And she starts screaming for Giles.
Giles comes running.
Yeah, so cute. And he grabs her.
No, he pulls her out.
He pulls her out, and they take a tumble. They take a tumble down the stairs, which looks like not fun. Yeah. Outside, Buffy sees the past, like, okay, so outside where the teacher died, both teachers died, Buffy kind of sees the past play out and sees James cute Grace fall off the balcony, and then James's ghost shows up with the messed up face and screams, "Get out," at Buffy.
Yeah, he tells her to get out. I thought that was I was a little confused by that.
Which, especially, like, knowing, like, where the episode went. Like,
yeah,
why,
exactly.
Why would he do that?
Well, and also, like, if Xander's correct and he's fixated on Buffy, which it seems like he is, then...
Why would he want her to leave? Yeah, that's a good point. I don't
All the poltergeists are all confused and whatever, I guess.
True, yeah. So back in the hallway, Willow convinces Giles that this is no way could this be Jenny. Jenny would never...
It's too mean.
Yeah, it's too mean. And Giles is like, I know. It's not her. Which he's disappointed because he thought he had another opportunity to communicate with her and say maybe things he didn't get to say because obviously he was in love with her and he never said he was in love with her to her. She did. And yeah, so he's just sad. I think he didn't take much to convince him at that point. Like, he knows it's not her.
Yeah, exactly.
So it strikes midnight. So they all, in their separate areas, light their candle, black candles.
They start chanting.
And then kind of all their candles get, like, blown out. And they're like, okay.
Great, maybe something did something.
Yeah, like, okay, we're done. Like, let's see what happened. And all of a sudden they have this, like...
They hear rumbling?
Rumbling, or, yeah, there's, like, a disturbance. You can tell, like, something's coming. There's, like, a rumbling, yeah. And then... The school is swarmed by... Initially, I put locusts, but it's wasps.
I put too, but apparently... Oh, I thought it was moths. I thought they said.
It's wasps.
Wasps, okay.
Yeah, because I had it on, like... Later Angel says wasps, and then... It's on, like, the closed captioning. It says wasps.
Okay.
Yeah, so wasps...
Locust would have been a little more Bible-y for me.
Yeah, I thought locust would have made sense.
Because we did snakes, but whatever.
Yeah. So they're coming through the hallway. They are trying to run and get out. They manage to get out in front of the school, and the whole school is just swarmed with wasps. Yeah, completely
it's super
covered.
Gross. Ugh.
Yeah. So they're back at Buffy's house, having like realized that like this did not work.
Yeah.
The spell, and so Giles kind of figures out that James keeps recreating the tragedy. He wants forgiveness, but he's kind of doomed in this like purgatory where it only works out one way.
People. Yeah.
Yeah, he's doomed to, like, kill Grace over and over again. But he's trying to keep doing it so it could turn out differently, but it can't turn out differently.
Right.
So he's in this, like, cycle. And he wants forgiveness, and Buffy says he doesn't deserve forgiveness. And Buffy goes in this whole, like...
Rant
about how, it doesn't matter if he knew it was wrong or he thinks it's wrong. Now he knows it's wrong, and he was selfish and impulsive and all this. He has to live with it. And, like, obviously she's talking about herself. She is...
Well, then Xander even says, like, but he's dead. And Buffy's kind of like, oh. Like, it looks like it made her think.
Like, yeah, she wasn't even talking about him. You know what I mean? Like, really.
Yeah.
She's like, he needs to be punished for what he did, and he needs to live with it. And she means me. Yeah. She thinks, I know what I did, and I need to be punished. I don't deserve forgiveness for putting this all on everyone.
Yeah.
And Cordelia calls it. She's like, over-identify much? When she's eating her little cracker or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Sorry, I was just going to say, I like how Xander said an act of compassion. I think it was Xander. Act of compassion isn't done because people need it. Giles, thank you. Not because they deserve it. Yeah, it's done because people need it, not because they deserve it.
Yeah. Which is like very good advice from Giles, but Buffy's like not hearing it. Not interested. She goes into the kitchen and pulls out of her pocket one of the like it's weird because it's from like it's the 1955 version of the Sadie Hawkins dance poster.
The flyer.
Yeah, the flyer. And she kind of just puts it on the table, and then she hears a voice whisper, "I need you."
This time I heard it.
Yeah. And then she leaves. She leaves the house, and then they come in to check on her in the kitchen and realize that she's gone. They see the flyer there, and Giles thinks that the spirit is like in her thrall. She's in the thrall of the spirit. We see at the school, we see Buffy just kind of like deadpan, just kind of like
in a phase.
Yeah, almost? like in a sleepwalking. Yeah, like a sleepwalking.
And she gets up to school and like the wasps. Yeah, just part for her.
Yeah, like the Red Sea, and the doors open by themselves too. And so she just walks in, and then it all closes back up. So obviously it's giving her passage to come in.
It's meant for Buffy.
Yeah. So the group finally gets to the school, and they're like, wait, there's no way we can get in. We know Buffy's in there. But Giles thinks it's okay because there's no person in there for James to play his part. Because they're like, okay, well, Buffy's going to get killed, but there's no one to shoot her.
There's no one to shoot her, yeah.
Yeah, so they think that she's fine in there at the time, as it is.
But then...
Yeah, so Buffy's walking in the hallway, kind of in a trance, like I said, and guess who shows up? Guess who took Drusilla's advice? Angel. Angel's in the hallway and says, you know what? Wasps don't really care about vampires. I could just walk right through them. Like, they don't really care about me. And he is just kind of gloating her, and she immediately starts saying, like, you think you can just ignore me and I'll go away? Like, she starts going right into the script.
She recites the lines. That's right.
She starts saying the lines, and Angel's like, yeah, like, that's pathetic. Like, you're pathetic. Like, he doesn't understand what's happening. And then eventually he gets swept up into it. And so now he's possessed as well.
Which I found interesting. Yeah.
So, but the kind of like twist on this is that Angel is Grace and Buffy is James.
Yeah. Yeah. And they, like, I like how they do the flashbacks between the present and the past. It's interesting.
So yeah, it just plays out. We get the kind of the complete scene finally for the third go around. And yeah, it switches back between Angel and Buffy kind of reciting it, and then James and Grace in 1955. So it keeps going back and forth. And it's a great scene.
It is, actually. It's
like,
really well done.
Of course, like, Sarah Michelle Gellar acts like circles around David Boreanaz in this scene. Yeah. But yeah, she's so good in this scene, and it's so emotional, and like she really like seems like she is just destroyed. Yeah. It was great.
It was just like one of the like questions I had with this teacher-student romance. Like, part of me is kind of like, I think she really did love him, but she just knew that, like, it wasn't right, and she just had to break it off for that reason more than, like, she actually didn't feel like continuing with it. So I thought that was interesting, too, and the student, obviously, James didn't obviously catch up on that. He was just so blind and heartbroken that he, you know.
Yeah, because he says, like, tell me you don't love me, and then she says, yeah, if that's what you need to hear, I don't love you.
Yeah, exactly.
And so, yeah, and it's interesting. I'll bring this up later. But at the end. But there's an interesting thing that I think that is kind of overlooked in this episode that I think if this episode was done today would be a conversation. I'll try to remember to bring it up when I talk about at the end, what we talked about. Okay. So they even move through the scene the same way, and Buffy pulls a gun out. Yep. It appears out of nowhere. Angel turns to, like, run. They go outside, right by that balcony by the stairs.
The balcony again.
Yeah.
Yep.
And Buffy shoots Angel. And just like it's supposed to happen, Angel falls over the balcony and, air quote, dies on the stairs.
Yeah. And Angel looks really surprised when this happens.
He's like, oh, I'm shot. Oh.
Yeah.
And then he falls down the stairs.
Yeah.
And just like happened in 1955, Buffy, and there's no one there to stop her, Buffy kind of like just, again, sleepwalks kind of into the music room. Where this is where James killed himself, so obviously this is what is the spirit's compelling Buffy to do.
This is where we can hear the song "I Only Have Eyes for You" playing. Yeah. Again,
did she start it? Did she put it on herself?
I thought it was playing when she got there.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't remember.
It's playing one way or another. Yeah. "I Only Have Eyes for You" is playing. Yeah. And we see Angel wake up on the stairs, because he was kind of, like, unconscious. He wakes up on the stairs, and Buffy is going to kill herself, and then Angel shows up, because
he
shooting Angel with a gun can't kill him.
Yes, that's right.
So it's Grace's spirit,
This is where things change.
Yeah. So Grace's spirit can still inhabit Angel's body, and so she goes to the music room and stops Buffy from killing herself / James.
And she says, I loved you with my last breath.
Yeah, and it was an accident. He's like, I killed you. She said, it's an accident. And they kind of, like, make peace with each other. Yeah. And James gets the forgiveness that he was looking for.
Which I find that interesting. Like, does she really forgive him for shooting her? That's pretty...
I think it's supposed to be, like... It's more obvious when it's Buffy. Like, it kind of goes off.
Yeah.
Gun.
Yeah. Okay.
Like, she's in the middle of a sentence and it just kind of goes off. And I think
like it was an accident, yeah.
Kind of like it just goes off.
That's
like,
fair. Okay.
I mean, he shouldn't be pointing it at her, but I think...
Yeah. He didn't actually mean to shoot her.
I think, yeah.
Okay. I think you're right.
It wasn't explicit that was what happened, but that's kind of that's where I think we can explain why she would, forgive him. I think it was and I think they're trying to make it seem like an accident.
Yeah.
And what do you think's gonna happen? You point a gun at somebody, but so At this point, we're only seeing Angel and Buffy, and we kind of see, like, the spirits of James and Grace kind of go up into the light. So they basically worked out their stuff, and they can move on. And so that's it. They're gone, and it leaves Buffy and Angel back as themselves kissing.
And they're kissing, and that's great.
Yeah.
And Buffy is just like, Angel? And she's, like, confused, and
Angel's like,
and he just pushes her and runs off.
Growls. He growls and shoves her.
He growls.
And then just runs away. Because he's mad. Yeah, he's mad. He has a very animalistic growl.
So this was interesting, though. So he could have done something to her, but he didn't. He just runs away. Yeah,
because she would have been, like, well, he was also kind of discombobulated, so maybe he thought,
I guess.
Yeah.
That could have been an opportunity.
Yeah, true. I mean, that's why Drew told him to go there, because it was an opportunity.
Yeah.
So Angel takes off, and Buffy's kind of just stunned there by herself. So in the library, it seemed they've checked everything. Everything seems back to normal. The snakes are all gone. Everything seems like it's over. And Buffy comes to the realization that James picked her because he can relate to her.
Yeah.
That she has deep regret for something that happened that she didn't mean to happen. And that's why he didn't go for just like whoever the male was there.
Yeah,
he went for Buffy.
And Giles says they can both rest now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So Buffy does say she still has a hard time thinking like why she would forgive him. But, you know, Buffy's talking about herself a lot.
Yep.
This is like, we talked about this a little bit when we were watching it together. I said, like, last episode, I feel like was Buffy getting ready to accept that she was ready to kill Angel. Yeah. Like, coming to that acceptance. And this episode's all about her trying to forgive herself for all the stuff that's happened from that act. So, it's about James, but it's really about Buffy forgiving herself or letting herself be forgiven or thinking she deserves to be forgiven or that she'll even accept it. All this is like just a mirror on Buffy's, like the whole Angel and Buffy thing, like all the responsibility she feels about what happened. So that's what she's kind of like, I think, reflecting on in this end scene. And then
go
ahead.
I was just going to say, like, she basically says she doesn't understand how she could forgive him. And then I like how Giles is like, does it matter?
Yeah.
That's, like, really powerful.
Mm-hmm. That's good. Yeah.
And hopefully that enables her to forgive herself and move on and
do what she has to do.
Yeah, exactly.
So the last scene is in the mansion, and Angel is washing off in, like, the fountain.
Furiously showering.
Yeah.
Furiously.
Because he says he's been, like, basically possessed by love. He felt love, he doesn't like it, and he, like, physically wants to wash it off of him.
She was like, what was it, a demon? And he's like, love.
Yeah, worse.
She's all like, well, let's find you a nice toddler.
Yeah, he says he needs to kill before sunup. And she's like, oh, we'll find you a nice toddler. And she's like, do you want to go, Spike? And he's like, and Angel says, oh, we need to travel light. We can't take him with us.
He's so mean.
So he's like, have a good time, buddy. And Angel and Drew run off into the night to kill someone. And poor Spike's sitting there in his wheelchair by himself. But Spike kind of like has a smirk and says like, oh, I will, like basically about having fun. I will sooner than you realize or sooner than you think. Mm-hmm. And he gets up out of the wheelchair. And so he is healed, but he is hiding it.
Yeah. Interesting. So, I'm curious to see where this goes.
What is going to happen?
What is going to happen?
The family is getting is being more dysfunctional than usual.
I don't know. If I were Spike, I'd be over that shit with her. That's super annoying.
I think he's over it. So, yeah, like, what's Spike going to do? Like, what's that about?
He should just go out on his own and leave them to themselves.
Do you think he would just leave? Skip town now? And just
I don't know.
Fuck them?
He seems to still love Drusilla, weirdly.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think he should just leave. Or
he's going to have a plan.
I don't know. I guess I'm going to find out soon, though.
Yeah.
I'm guessing I'll find out in the next 3 episodes.
Yes. Okay, so Spike obviously has a plan that we are not privy to at the moment.
Yeah.
And that's the end of the episode. So that will set up some stuff we will see, like you said, in the next 3 episodes.
Yeah.
All right, so my favorite quote was when Willow and Buffy were talking at the Bronze, and Willow was saying, you just need to be impulsive, or something like that. And Buffy says, impulsive? Do you remember my ex-boyfriend, the vampire? I slept with him, he lost his soul, now my boyfriend's gone forever, and the demon that wears his face is killing my friends. The next impulsive decision I will make will involve my choice of dentures. Oh, it was like just summed up most of the second half of this whole season.
No, the thing is, I don't even think that was impulsive, though. Like, she wasn't impulsive. She gave it some thought. They tried to not date and didn't work out, and they just gave in. I don't really consider it impulsive.
She definitely feels like...
I know she does. I know she does.
Yeah.
I don't... Like, nobody could have foreseen that happening.
Yeah. I did, yeah. But that was my favorite quote. It was just funny. Yeah. And she said, the next impulsive decision I will make involve my choice of dentures. Yeah. She's like, no excitement for me, thanks. I've had enough. And then my favorite scene, I said, was the Buffy Angel roleplay scene. Yeah, so when that whole scene where it's going back and forth between 1955 and present day, 1999, and it's just Sarah Michelle Gellar again. And these like highly, highly emotional moments, she's just so good.
Yeah, she was really
David Boreanaz tried his best.
He was decent.
Yeah, he was decent.
Pretty good.
I mean, like, he was discovered, like, walking his dog. Like, it's not like he was like, I'm an actor. They were like, you're hot. You want to be an actor? Okay.
He is pretty.
You know, Sarah Michelle Gellar is an actor, and she's been acting since she was a child, and, like, is an artist. I'm sure David Boreanaz is now, but at this point, this is very early in David Boreanaz's career. So, yeah, Sarah Michelle Gellar just, like, blew the whole thing out of the water.
Yeah.
Okay.
My favorite line was when Sandra said Snakealicious.
Really?
I know. I just thought it was so funny. And just like that's like I can't say it's my favorite scene. I'll pick the same scene as you as my favorite. For the same reasons. But it's just like when he just walked into the thing and he was just like Snakealicious, and he's just like instead of like walking out, which is what I would have had to have done, he was just like, okay, I can do this. I got this. And then he just, it's kind of cool.
That's unfortunately where he was stationed, so he had to go in and light the candle.
He just had to do it, and he did. He's growing into himself, so.
He's more tolerable for you?
He is way more tolerable. He's growing on me quite a bit, actually.
Okay,
These past few episodes have been,
Good. I would say like a second, like my runner-up would have been like when Giles, you already quoted this, when Giles says that forgiveness is an act of compassion. It's not done because it's whatever that you want. It's not because they want it, so they need it, or something like that.
Yeah. It's done because people need it, not because they deserve it.
Right. That's a good one as well.
Yeah. That probably should be my favorite line, but I'm gonna.
Same. I know. I feel like that should have.
I'm gonna have to stick with Snakealicious.
Yeah.
No regrets.
Go with your heart. Follow your heart. So my steak rating was a 4.5.
What?
Is that low?
Sorry. Yeah, actually.
Okay.
Okay.
I mean, there was a lot I liked about it, but of course, it's set in the 50s. Some of it was set in 50s, which I love. The whole aesthetic. That Buffy Angel scene that I said was my favorite scene was really, really well done. Good. Yeah, so good, so well done, powerful. I like the ghosts, just having the ghosts are about. I think that's all I put. One thing I wanted to say about it, though, I think the thing that I was going to say before that I was like, I'll save for the end. If this episode aired today, I think there would be a conversation around Grace being a predator.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, there should have been a conversation back then about it, because it's kind of yucky. It's not okay.
Yeah, like, I think it wasn't even like, no one even was like, oh, it's inappropriate that Grace was involved with a child. Yeah. The power dynamic between teacher and student, minor and an adult, and all this stuff. Like, it wasn't even, like, brought up at all, which I think is definitely something that should be part of the conversation about the storyline.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I feel like there is something to be said about Grace's involvement in this relationship and the appropriateness of it.
Exactly. Whatever she felt, she should have not acted upon it.
Yeah. Yeah. So there's that whole aspect that was not brought into the conversation at all in this episode. Yeah.
Okay. 4.8.
Okay, good. I'm glad.
I really like this episode. So obviously the whole 50s thing, that just like, that's just like 4.5 all by itself. I loved the Sadie Hawkins references. I loved the outfits. I loved the music. I love that song. All of that. But also some of the other little things that I liked. I mean, we have Giles working through his grief a little bit. We saw that. Like he was kind of like you showed him being a little bit stuck, and then at the end he was kind of working through it a bit. I thought that was good that they touched on that. Willow is coming into her own. I loved watching her teach that class, and she's just like, she's so cute. She's funny, and she's getting comfortable with herself. She's getting confident with herself, and I'm just really enjoying that, like watching her come into her own.
And she took the reins with the magic as well.
Yeah, so I was just going to say, I'm curious to see where this whole paganism thing goes. So that's interesting. We didn't have much with Xander in this episode, but again, I'll just say that he's still growing on me. Cordelia, I don't know. Cordelia's Cordelia.
She's just there. For me.
She's just there. She's like
she just is good to like. Yeah, she is kind of wallpaper that has a good lines.
Yeah, she's funny.
Yeah. Cordelia's never been my favorite character. She's good. She's funny. She has her role in the like ecosystem of the Scoobies. Yeah. But I've never like really liked her.
Like and then I just like the whole episode that focused on Buffy working through her stuff that she needed to work through. So this was a good thing for her to have to work through. Like how she at first like just really couldn't understand this James person and like what he did. But by the end of the episode, she was just kind of like, okay. And I think she realized a little more that it was her. She needed to forgive herself to be able to move on from things that had happened with her and Angel. So I thought that was kind of a nice touch. And I like the poltergeist aspect. So I just like that. Bonus points for that. I love poltergeist stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, I think she didn't realize that like James saw like kind of a kindred spirit in her, that they both were dealing with intense grief and regret. About something that they felt responsible for. So yeah, I think that kind of changed a little, like, you know, Buffy's perception a little bit on it.
Yeah, for sure. Yep.
Yeah, so it was a good episode. Cute. As good as I remembered. It was good. Yeah, and like I'm always happy when your rating's higher than mine. So that's great. I'm happy about it. All right, so the next episode is called Go Fish. And so Xander joins a team at school. What is it?
Ooh, okay. It's got to be like wrestling.
Okay.
You said team, right?
Mm-hmm.
Sports team. I'm guessing sports. What if it's not sports? What if
sports,
it's like debate
sports
club
ball.
Or something? Sports ball. I'm going to go with wrestling.
Wrestling? Okay.
Yeah, I don't know why.
Okay. So that wraps up Season 2, Episode 19, I Only Have Eyes for You. Again, you can find us on all major podcast apps and YouTube and Instagram at One Girl in All the World Pod. And please give us 5 stars wherever you listen. You can also email us at onegirlpod@gmail.com. Thanks for joining us, and we'll be back next week with Season 2, Episode 20, Go Fish. See you real soon.
Bye.